So I think by now we all realize that self-love is not bubble baths, it's not face masks, but what I don't see a lot of are the alternatives to bubble baths and face masks. How to actually build self-love, the steps, the actionable stuff. So that's what this video is going to be all about. I've been on a self-love journey, I am still on a self-love journey, and in this video I want to share with you the practices that you can take into your life, the little things that you can do to become a person who believes that they are worthy, that recognizes their value in their relationships, that can respond to their flaws with love and kindness, that takes care of themselves because they know that they deserve it. Before we get into the tangible stuff, let's talk about what self-love actually is. So by definition, self-love is regard for one's own well-being and happiness. I say that self-love is thinking of future you as you prep lunches for the week. Self-love is knowing that you've done something that maybe you're not that proud of, but talking to yourself with kindness anyway. Self-love is not overloading your schedule to please others to your own detriment. Self-love is being gentle with yourself when you are feeling low energy, when you're feeling hurt, when you're feeling sad. I equate self-love to a feeling of parenting yourself. You're not going to approve and love every single thing that you say and you do. You know that you make mistakes, you are human, but you care for yourself regardless. You show up for yourself in spite of that. You're kind, you are compassionate with yourself consistently. Now let's talk about practices that will bring about self-acceptance and self-love. Let yourself fully feel your feelings, even the ugly ones. So a few weeks ago, I had this experience where I was journaling. There were ugly emotions, there were ugly words, there were ugly tears. The emotional pain that I felt just journaling about this experience is honestly beyond any pain that I can remember having, any emotional pain rather. Like I sat there in shock. I was like, where is this coming from? Who knew that I had this in my body? And this was totally unexpected for me because I had journaled on this thing before and it had honestly been as helpful as like banging my head against a brick wall. But I came out of that journaling session feeling like I had actually made genuine progress. A few days after that experience, I was listening to the Nike Trained podcast, specifically an episode called Finding Mental Remedies for Physical Pain with Nicole Sachs. Then Nicole, who was the guest, started describing a way of journaling that sounded really similar to what I had experienced. It's called journal speak. So she promotes journal speak for people who are dealing with chronic pain and chronic illness. If you're interested in that, if you struggle with that, give the podcast episode a listen, come to your own conclusions. I know there are a lot of thoughts around that topic, but the practice itself is a self-love practice that I think that anyone can embrace. So to practice journal speak, you make 3 lists. A list of past stresses. So literally any event in your past that has caused you stress that you can still remember. So when you were a kid, a teen, a young adult, even in the past year, you are writing down any event that has big feelings associated with it. You could write down really little things like when my teacher yelled at me in 2nd grade. That's just a memory that you've held on to. We all have those. Or bigger things like when I was made redundant. Obviously a big moment in your life. Then there's a list of current stresses. So anything that's stressing you out right now in this moment. Your 3rd list is a list of personality traits that are causing you stress. This could be hyperindependence, hypervigilance, pessimism, anxiety, people-pleasing. Get into a regular practice of picking one of those topics and writing about it for 20 minutes. The key difference here is to be incredibly raw and incredibly unfiltered. Literally imagine that you were a child and you were having a tantrum about this particular topic. Let ugly, angry words come out that are towards other people, towards yourself, towards the world. Be messy, swear, be brutally honest. And make sure that you are writing in a space that feels really safe. No one's going to read it. And she also encourages you to delete your journals after you write them. The next key is to, throughout this experience, when big emotions come up, let yourself lean into them. A lot of this is about feeling repressed emotions, and it's going to be really difficult for you if you're someone who does repress your emotions. This is the ultimate self-acceptance practice. You are going back to big events, you're letting yourself feel the feelings associated with those events, and you're accepting them as they are without judgment. Thank your past self, spoil your future self. You know that feeling that you get when you do something that is unexpected and really nice for someone else? You buy someone a treat, you decorate things specially for their birthday, you do some life admin for them, and you get this feeling of like they are going to be so happy that I got them this, that I did this for them. They are going to feel so appreciative. And it's almost like you're selfishly getting a lot of happiness out of their potential happiness because you did this thing for them, and that's okay. That feeling is a feeling that you need to start getting for yourself. Chop chop. There are 2 practices to bring into your life to get there. Firstly, start thanking your past self. This might feel uncomfortable. You might feel like a bit of a nutter, but thank yourself out loud. When you notice something the past you has done that is making present you's life better. So when you get into your car that you tidied the day before, look around. Sit in gratitude at the work that past you did. Say thank you and sink into how good it feels that past you tidied this car for you. Secondly, spoil your future self. So much like when I buy something for my partner from the store and I'm like, oh, he's gonna love this so much, do the same thing for yourself. So when you're doing things for your future self, think, she's gonna be so happy that I did this. She's gonna appreciate this so much. I am so excited for how happy they are going to be that I did this. I am making tofu scramble with my future self in mind. I am doing my life admin days with my future self in mind. To do this, you kind of need to split yourself up in your mind. So you need to see future you as a different being, and you need to see past you as a different being as well. And present you, I suppose, is also an individual. Before I get into the next practice, this video is sponsored by Squarespace. This is the platform that I recommend to literally anyone that wants to create a website. Because I know it is so easy to use. You can make beautiful websites really quickly, really easily, with little to no experience. And it's what I use to create my own websites. So I created my website, muchelleb.com.au, using Squarespace. It looks like this. I have pages like this and this and this. And I created my website for the Intention app, which is my app, using Squarespace. I created this one in like an afternoon. It looks like this, and it has this kind of page on it. That one was super easy for me to put together, and it still looks nice. Even though I have very little experience, I'm certainly not a website designer. One of my absolute favorite things about Squarespace is that there are no plugins, no patches, no upgrades ever, which I am so thankful for. I've had to deal with those things in the past. I have had my website hacked. I have had my website show an error page because I haven't updated it in time. So not having that in the back of my mind, not stressing about it, knowing my website is low maintenance is such a relief for me. Squarespace is flexible for any kind of website. So you could be an artist, a creator, you could just want a portfolio, you could have an e-commerce store, maybe a membership website you want to create. You can do it all with Squarespace. Click the link below, squarespace.com/MichelleB. Use the code MichelleB to get 10% off of your first purchase. Once again, it's squarespace.com/MichelleB. Use the code MichelleB to get 10% off of your first purchase. Learn how to meet your own needs. So I have two things to say when it comes to meeting your own needs. On one hand, the question, are you needy or are they unable to meet your needs, is important to be asking. Some people are delivering below the bare minimum. You should not be meeting all of your needs all of the time. You are allowed to have emotional needs and to expect them to be met. You are allowed to have emotional wants and expect them to be met. However, being able to self-soothe is an asset. Being able to cheer yourself up when you are feeling sad is nothing but helpful. Being able to nurture yourself when you feel hurt is an advantage. Being able to make your own day brighter is just nice. An exercise that you can do to start meeting your own needs a little bit more is, firstly, write down all the things that you want other people to have said or to be saying to you. So think about important people in your life. If you have exes in your life, if you have relationships that are no longer in your life, think about the things that you wish that they would say to you. Then write down how maybe you wish or expect other people to comfort you in moments of struggle, so in moments of sadness, of distress. What would you like for other people to be doing for you? Then think of all the things that you wish other people would have done with you or would do with you. So think back to dates that you wish you had been taken on, plans you wish that people made with you, things that you wish people did with you. Start comforting yourself in the ways that you wish other people would comfort you as. Once again, not all of your needs should be filled by you. Not all of your wants should be filled by you. Some of the best healing can happen in loving and healthy relationships. But in saying that, knowing how to make yourself happy, knowing how to make yourself feel comforted when someone isn't available for you, when maybe you don't have someone to fill that need for you right now, is also a really helpful skill. Detach your behaviors from your identity. Self-acceptance is the beginning of self-love. Think of self-acceptance as step one. Some people think of self-acceptance as it. That's where they want to get to. But before self-love, before self-worth comes self-acceptance. To explain self-acceptance in the best way, imagine you are stranded in the desert. You have little to no food. That is your reality. You can accept your reality, as bleak as it may be. It's not looking good, but you accept it. You are where you are. Now you just need to move forward. Once you've accepted it, you're in this good place where you can start making plans, start figuring out how to get shelter. Or B, you can go into denial about your circumstances. Resist them, say this isn't fair, I shouldn't be here. Make no moves towards helping yourself because you're too busy resisting. In that circumstance, accepting your reality, even though it's not a great one, is the best way to move forward. There's a quote that's been stuck in my mind for months by Carl Rogers, and he said, "The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change." Similar to the desert scenario, when you have a part of your life, a part of yourself, a way of being that you are resisting, that you're not accepting, that you're in denial about, that you judge and you think shouldn't be there, you're stopping yourself from moving forward. The confusing thing is that acceptance isn't happiness, it isn't joy, it isn't love. You can accept that you are stuck in a desert and you cannot be that stoked about it. Acceptance is just acknowledging what is without resisting it, without judging it, and then moving forward to the next best step. One way to practice self-acceptance is to separate your behaviors from your identity. So talk badly about your behaviors, sure, but don't talk badly about yourself. There is a big difference between saying, I am a terrible friend, I never should have said that, and I reacted out of insecurity when I said that and I'm embarrassed about it. There is a difference between I am such a selfish, inconsiderate person and I was feeling irritable, I was feeling frustrated, so I snapped. This is sort of how I think of gossip as well to a degree. It's like, it's okay to make comments about how people have behaved and sort of try to understand why they might have behaved that way. And same with yourself. It's okay to make comments about how you behaved. Be like, that was crap. I think that I got there because of this, this, and this. But it's not okay to be like, yeah, that person's trash. Just like it's not okay to be like, yeah, I'm trash for doing that. Everyone, the best people, the loveliest, kindest, most wonderful people that you know behave in ways that they aren't proud of. Everyone isn't perfect and they don't always function in ways that they like to. And when you're practicing self-acceptance, you can totally rate your behaviors and even your traits as, yeah, that was good and that was not so great. But you can also recognize those behaviors don't define you as a person. Get into the mental practice of asking good questions. Personally, I think that getting into the practice of asking yourself high quality questions is one of the best ways to shift your life. Here are 4 high quality questions that if you just start asking yourself these regularly will make a big difference. Number 1, why might a good person have acted in this way? I've mentioned this a few times in recent videos because it's my favorite self-compassion question to go back to. It doesn't excuse behavior, it explains it, it moves you towards self-acceptance a lot more quickly. You snap at your friend, you ask, why might a good person have behaved that way? You reflect on the fact that you are overloaded at work, your schedule is crazy, you haven't eaten all day. And that behavior makes a lot more sense. That doesn't justify it, but it does explain it. What would someone who loved themselves do? So Teal Swan calls this the shortcut question to becoming a person who loves themselves. Every single time you make a decision, you have a choice in front of you, ask yourself, what would someone who loved themselves do? You're kind of cosplaying someone who loves themselves, and eventually if you act in ways that a person who loved themselves would act like, you're going to become a person that loves themselves. If my top priority today was to feel good, how would I approach it? This is more so about prioritizing self-care. And this is in amongst like the everyday obligations that you obviously have. Ask this in your morning routine. If my priority today was to feel good and I still had the obligations that I have, how would I approach my day differently? And lastly, this is a really good question to get in touch with your feelings. What do I most need right now? Just asking this question regularly throughout the day will get you in touch with your emotional signals, will get you in touch with your body signals that maybe you aren't as in touch with now. If you liked this video, you'll like my video that I made. It was quite a while ago, but it's called 5 Real Actual Ways to Practice Self-Love. Everything in it is valid, it's important, it's tangible. I'm gonna have that video linked on the screen as well as down below. I appreciate you so very much and I will see you soon.